Year 11, good morning. I hope you're well. Now, probably what you're not expecting is to see me and Mr. Cornell sitting here putting together a little video for you. You've had your impromptu end of term and leaving do, and I know Miss Button and Mr. Cornell did a brilliant do at that point. But it does feel a bit strange that we are not with you at the moment in school, and kind of like recognising the fact that you're probably 2 weeks into your exams by now if we had all been going as normal. So, we're really sorry that you're not doing your exams, although probably you might now be thinking, oh, I'm quite glad I'm not doing my exams. I've put together a little end of year assembly that I would have probably given you if you were in school. Now, some of you may want to hit the pause button because you don't want to watch it. That's absolutely fine. Some of you may sit down and go all the way through and watch it to the end. But before we start, I'm just going to hand over very quickly to Mr. Cornell, who just wants a quick word with you.
Thank you, Miss Darby. It's really sad that I'm not here to actually see you face to face and go through what we would usually do at the end of a normal school year. And in speaking to lots of your parents, I really understand that you feel that you've missed out on huge parts of being a Year 11 student and that closure of school. I know you're desperately disappointed that you're not able to sit your exams, and you're all a little bit worried and anxious about what's going to happen in the future. But if I can just reassure you once more, it will all be fine, and when we get back to normality, we'll be able to go and sort of reflect on this and recognise, even though it was challenging, we were able to get through and have success at the end of it all. One thing that's fantastic to hear is whilst you've been at home, loads of you have picked up some baking skills, some groundwork skills, laying some patios, and I can't believe any garden in Quorn or Rothley or in the surrounding villages is not looking absolutely impeccable because of all of the work that you've done in the gardens. I really hope that we will have some opportunity to meet once more and have some form of celebration when everything gets back to normal. But for now, have a lovely summer and continue to do as much work as you possibly can in readiness for whatever it is that you do next year.
So Year 11, if you are sitting comfortably, possibly on your bed, maybe on the sofa with mum or dad, sit back for a couple of minutes and hopefully we can finish your year with a little bit of a high. Take care, speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Well, hello Year 11. And having seen Mr. Cornell, I hope you're feeling a little bit wistful. I could say at this point, well done for coming into assembly so well. But the reality is you're probably sitting on your bed or on the sofa and you haven't come into assembly. But now is the time for us in this final assembly, so to speak, time to say goodbye and to say farewell to Rawlins. Now, you all know you've had one Leavers Assembly. It was brilliant. You had loads of trophies. Some of you were unfortunately not with us because you were in quarantine, because you weren't very well. So I know it was difficult. And I know it's probably really weird not to be here for your last day of Year 11. The reality is, if you had been here, you'd have been 2 weeks into exams by now and you'd be quite ready for your half-term break. Believe me, you'd be quite tired. But you're not. So although you've had your final impromptu assembly, we still wanted to mark this final week of school. What would have been your final week and this opportunity to say goodbye. And we wanted to mark it as if you were here. So, friendship is what I want to talk about. And the reason I want to talk about friendship, because when you look back on your time at school, you might remember some big events in school. Now, it might be that you went on a school trip like skiing. It might be that you remember a particular sports day, or the fact that you took part in a play and you made some really good mates at that particular point in time. In those memories that I've just possibly linked you to, what you realise is when you look back on school when you get older, it'll be the big events that you remember and probably the people, rather than perhaps that science lesson that you had where you really enjoyed learning from the textbook about a particular type of reaction. For some of you, the friendships that you've made in the last 5 years are going to be with you for the rest of your life. Some of you will come back to us in the sixth form. Some of you will be moving on to Loughborough College. Some of you are moving on to other colleges like Brooksby. Some of you might be doing apprenticeships. The reality is you're not all 240 of you going to be together again for a long while. And so those friendships are going to be what takes you and carries you through the next few years of your life. Now, if you have been aware, and maybe your mum and dad might have been sharing with you, I have been doing some lockdown letters. They've become a little bit of a cult thing, and actually quite hard to write, I've discovered, as the weeks have progressed. But in my recent letter, I was talking about two friends, and I think it's quite important to maybe think about them now as we finish our time together. So this is Hachi and Little B. Hachi, if you watch the video that I sent out, is a dog that suffered immense cruelty. His owners, when he was 3 months old, decided he was too big for them to deal with, and so they tied him to a railway line. Luckily, the railway driver or the train driver managed to see the dog just before he hit, and so he managed to put on the brakes, but it wasn't soon enough, and Hachi was unfortunately injured quite severely in the accident. The train took off, or virtually severed, one of his rear legs and his tail. And he had massive blood loss, but he survived and was then adopted by Owen, who's known as Little B, and his family. Owen has a genetic condition and was feeling quite lonely because other children were able to go out and play, but he finds it difficult to walk because his muscles are tense all the time. And the two of them have become best pals, as you can see. But Owen's stepmum is a nurse, and during lockdown, Owen hasn't been able to live at home with his dad and his stepmum because of the work she's been doing with COVID-19. And so they've been separated. Owen went to live with his mum during this time. Now, Hachi's used to Owen going out to school each day and coming back, but Owen hasn't been coming back. And you can see Hachi in the bottom corner just staring out of the window every day. And he's done that for the last 8 weeks, desperate for his friend to come home. And the reason I put Hachi and Little B into this presentation is because Hachi's pining for his friend, and I'm sure in the weeks and the months ahead, you are perhaps going to pine in a way for each other. That the friendship and the day-to-day life that you were used to is not there, and it feels strange and it feels weird. But just like Hachi and Little B are separated at the moment, their friendship means that they're always going to be together. And when Little B can move back home and be with his mate again, they'll just pick up where they always were. And that will be the same with you and your friends. You may not see each other for a while, but you will pick up and you will continue to be friends. Because if they're true friends, they'll be there for you whatever happens, because they've been there throughout your time at school. Usually our families are the ones that accept us whatever happens. But if you've got a really good friend that you've made here at Rawlins, they'll have been there for you at times. Probably the times when you've been quite grumpy rather than quite happy when you came into school. But at the end of your 5 years here at Rawlins, I need to say that you are ready to fly. You are no longer the caterpillar waiting to become a butterfly. You are all ready to be butterflies. You're ready to leave school, to fly on to the next stage of your life. I want you to think about how different you are now to when you first arrived. And some of you sent some brilliant photographs in Raw Release about your first day pictures and your last day pictures. And you are definitely different. You're all bigger, louder and more opinionated than you were when you arrived in year 7. But you're also more confident, independent and self-assured. So now that you are butterflies, it is time to fly. But as you fly, I want you to think about this poem, which was found in a home run by Mother Teresa and her nuns in Calcutta in India. And it's about being true to yourself and your own moral compass. So here goes. People are often unreasonable. They're irrational and self-centred. But despite that, I want you to forgive them anyway. If you're kind, many people may accuse you of being selfish or having an ulterior motive. Ignore them. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you're going to win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. But that shouldn't stop you. I want you to succeed anyway. And if you're honest and you're sincere, then people may deceive you. And I want you to be honest and sincere anyway. Now, you may spend the next few years creating and building things which others might destroy overnight, but that shouldn't stop you from creating anyway. And if you find serenity and happiness, some people are going to be jealous, but that shouldn't stop you from being happy anyway. The good that you do today and tomorrow will often be forgotten, but that shouldn't stop you. You should do good anyway, and you should give the best you have, and it will never be enough, but that shouldn't stop you from giving your best anyway. In the final analysis, it will be between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. So, I want you to remember that you are lucky, that you have something that makes saying goodbye hard. You are always going to be part of everybody else's story here at the school, and you're also going to be people that we remember. This chapter is closing, but another one is going to be opening with wonderful unknown adventures along the way that we will look forward to hearing about. And I want you to remember to think big. So, think big. But now it is time to say goodbye. But as Peter Pan says, we never say goodbye, because if you say goodbye, it means you're going to forget. And we're not going to forget you. So thank you for your friendship, and thank you for the friendships that you have created with each other over the last 5 years. May the memory stay with you and bring a smile to your face as you move on. And finally, we'd like to finish with a traditional Gaelic blessing. As you read it, listen to the words of Green Day, and we really do hope you've had the time of your life. Goodbye, Year 11. Take care.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.